Hello and welcome to Make Work Better, a video series that is all about people, purpose, and strategy to move your business forward. I am Will Graham. I am the author of the book Make Work Better, How Empowered Teams Transform Work and Deliver Better Results. The book is currently available on Amazon in both hardcover and paperback. The audiobook version will be available in January 2024. Now, why should you listen to me? Let me share just a few high-level bullet points from my experience. My resume includes being the P&L owner of a multi-million-dollar company and later involved with that company in an exit that was valued at $1.5 billion. I also pioneered a pre-social media viral marketing campaign that achieved a 120% response rate. And I also helped turn around a small business that had a $650,000 cash deficit and put them in the black in just 11 months. Now, those are some things that worked really well, some of my successes, but let me assure you, I've also had some painful losses and know a few things that don't work. And so what I'm going to share with you today is going to bring both of those perspectives, both what I know works, what I've been successful at, and the things I know do not work and what to avoid. Today, I'm going to cover the anatomy of a breakthrough model, which I talk about in chapter 6 of my book. While I do offer a consulting level that helps companies implement this, it's critical that I lay out the basic outline of the model for you. And it starts with a funnel for decision making. How does your leadership team make decisions? I mean, from A to Z, what does the decision-making process entail? I once worked with someone whose axiom was, when the facts are known, the decisions become obvious, and that's great. There's no reason to overcomplicate decision-making in any organization, but there is a reason to have a clearly laid out decision-making funnel, if for no other reason than this one. Most people who are in the decision-making matrix are part of departments. If left to their own devices, each person will make the decision that most benefits their own department, whether or not it benefits the entire organization and its objectives. This is not a commercial against the department head fighting for minimal negative impact on the team they're responsible for, just the opposite. They should represent their direct reports' concerns when it comes to new initiatives that will impact all departments, including theirs. Nonetheless, impact on the day-to-day isn't the only consideration when it comes to making decisions. Impact on various departments is weighed against the upside, downside, and a cross-side. Because of the tendencies of human nature to want to cluster into allied groups, it's vital to take your leadership team outside of disciplinary verticals for the sake of enterprise-wide initiatives and for the sake of the momentum they're intended to create. So when it comes to this funnel for decision-making, you'll want to begin with these things in mind. Before you can create and adhere to a specific decision-making process, you have to arrive at some key conclusions. First of which is, if something isn't growing, it is stagnating, or even worse, dying. Number 2, growth requires some temporary pain or growing pains. Number 3, human nature creates silos and bureaucracies, both of which stifle progress and innovation. Heck, even the innovation department, when siloed, stifles innovation. Number 4, the ability to make decisions and begin acting on them quickly is an indicator of success, while slow decision-making is normally an indicator of failure. This is because slowness and momentum are rarely witnessed together. No initiative goes forward without some element of mystery. Clarity and mystery can coexist. You can plan for and with clarity, but understand that some decisions can't be made until yet to be known future mysteries are solved. There are 3 essential elements to any path forward: people, purpose, and strategy. People are the non-artificial intelligence part of your operation. Your people will either bring passion or dread to your project. The individuals on your team each have unique gifts and are suited to bring their best to different types of work. All results begin with people. Purpose is the reason your work happens in the first place. Your purpose is established before the work can begin. Your purpose is driven by passion. Purpose answers the question, why do we do what we do? And why will we do anything new? Purpose is always in service to others. Strategy is the agreed upon direction and set of actions to move an initiative or message forward. Your strategy drives tactics, not the other way around. Strategy begins by accepting reality and then also seeks to bend reality toward a commonly shared goal. Strategy requires understanding and ambition. A team can help its organization reach the next level when the members effectively align people and purpose with strategy to move the most important initiatives forward. However, when teams lack horsepower or bandwidth, the scalability of their strategic decisions and implementation plan can suffer. They know what works, but can only do some of the right things and therefore only go so far. This means that knowing isn't the same as doing. You can't effectively do what matters unless you have the right knowledge, but knowledge alone doesn't equal progress. Most initiatives are hindered by a lack of alignment between people and purpose, or purpose and strategy. When this happens, your people and processes will struggle to produce results beyond your current scope or standards. A look at the key areas of any business, which are strategy, message, and technology, will usually reveal precisely where there are specific breakdowns that cause a slowdown in progress and with major initiatives. Some of the questions I use when conducting a purpose strategy alignment sound simple, but their answers are crucial to determining alignment. First of which is, what is your company's purpose? Next, what strategy has your team committed to using to move your business forward? And lastly, how well does this strategy align with your purpose? After a dozen or more questions that drill down into the message and technology part of the alignment assessment, I end with these. What is one thing you would change about your strategy to better align with purpose? Then, what are 1 to 3 things you would change about your message to better align with your strategy and purpose? And last but not least, what are 1 to 3 things you would change about your technology? So this is software, platforms, programs, to better support the message, strategy, and purpose. A comprehensive purpose strategy alignment should prepare your team to identify key areas that need change in order to better align with your overall purpose and support major initiatives going forward. Strategy, structure, substance, commitments. After assessing your teams for people, purpose, strategy alignment, there is another framework that helps in planning and execution. I call it the 3S commitments, which are strategy, structure, and substance. This assumes that any effort or team's purpose has already been declared and that the basic strategy is determined to be in alignment with that purpose. A restatement and also refinement of that strategy kicks off a series of commitments designed to rally the team around the main objective. While strategy, structure, and substance are all critical and should be thought of in overlapping terms, they are all very different in nature. And while this probably goes without saying, it can't be overstated considering the behavior of some organizations toward these concepts. First of all, we're going to take a look at strategy. This is not a bullet list of items to be executed. This is a clear, simple direction or idea that can be communicated in a few words. If it can't be communicated in a few words, it will be difficult to garner commitment. Then structure. This is the framework within which the strategy will be executed. The structure should contain elements that are specifically set up to make the team and the team's project a success. Bullet list and the structure commitments will usually entail how the strategy gets accomplished. It's a list of technology platforms, meeting rhythms, timelines, and goals, among other things. And finally, substance. This includes message, both copy and imagery, as well as any elements needed to create the reality of the project's purpose. Delivering strategy is the point of substance. Existing within structure is its constraint. When working with clients, I get them to bring the map of their 3S commitments to every substantive conversation. That way they can easily determine what S any meeting dialogue is addressing. That's because strategy conversations demand a different mindset and approach, both in scale and timing, than substance conversations, for example. Sometimes it may even be a matter of determining if the right people are in the room for what S is being discussed. Are our strategy people here is a good question if structure conversations give the strategy an uncomfortable reality check, and vice versa. Now let's talk about the role of genius in the 90-day breakthrough model. To talk about the role of genius in the element of this 90-day breakthrough model, it's important to revisit a topic mentioned in an earlier chapter. When we covered the topic of employee engagement, we stated the brutal fact that employee engagement is in fact rare. One of the best books I've ever read on the topic of leader development is The Only Leaders Worth Following by Tim Spiker. About midway through the book, Tim Spiker covers 3 levels of employee engagement. The first of which are engaged employees. These are highly involved in and enthusiastic about their work and workplace. They are psychological owners, drive performance and innovation, and move the organization forward. Then you have the not engaged categories. These employees are psychologically unattached to their work and company because their engagement needs are not being fully met. They're putting time, but not energy or passion, into their work. And then there is the actively disengaged category, where employees aren't just unhappy at work, they are resentful that their needs aren't being met and are acting out their unhappiness. Every day these workers potentially undermine what their engaged coworkers accomplish. Tim's book goes on to discuss the results of a Gallup study, which shows that only 15% of workers in the United States fall into the engaged category. In fact, there are more actively disengaged employees, 18%, than engaged employees. All the while, the not engaged category makes up a majority, 67% of workers in the United States. This graphic gives you a visual indication of this engagement problem using what I call the employee engagement spectrum. Point is that a lack of employee engagement makes for terrible decision making, purpose, strategy, alignment, and 3S commitments. Why? Because people who are engaged in your work are the most critical element to all those processes. The truth is that most team members who don't fall into the actively engaged part are likely to fall into that middle part of the not engaged. The actively disengaged are usually easier to spot because they tend to cause the most trouble on teams. In those cases, almost everyone on the team knows who they are because of their behavior. Fortunately, the majority of people on the engagement spectrum can be influenced into the actively engaged category. It isn't easy, but when you make something like the working genius a part of role assignments, you'll see a big difference. When you use the working genius model in your team meeting agendas, inviting people with the corresponding genius to contribute to a clearly stated phase of a project, you will enhance, not inhibit buy-in. Get the people part right first before you have any hope of executing results. Earlier we discussed predictors of success and argued that the working genius model proved as the ideal version of that simply because it knew how to engage the right people to do the right work and at the right time. In a well-executed 90-day breakthrough model, it is critical to commit to each change objective, and it is equally important to staff each exercise with the right leaders. When it comes to creating a funnel for decision-making, how do you reach consensus? How do you explore options? Who brings the options? Who clearly defines and states the problems to be solved? Who declares organizational priorities? When it comes to the purpose, strategy, and alignment, you need real leaders to define purpose and healthy, actively engaged people to determine alignment with strategy. Forging the 3S commitments requires a certain combination of aspiration and groundedness. Again, none of these exercises and the appointment of who weighs into them has to do with job titles and has everything to do with working genius profiles. Speaking of that, if you really want to give your team a gift, really consider a Working Genius Live workshop for your team. It isn't just a workshop, it is a leadership team experience. When you give them the gift of a Working Genius workshop, you give your people the gift of understanding their natural strengths and accelerate your organization's results. Just go to geniusworkshop.live. There you will see a menu of options for the Working Genius half-day event. Pick the one that most works for you. Again, geniusworkshop.live.